Four-star wide receiver Karmello English making his decision. Let's take you there.
Thanks to all the schools and coaches that extended the opportunity. But with that being said, I'll be taking the next 3 to 4 years of my career to the University of Michigan.
There we go, Karmello English putting on the Michigan hat. We know you love the hat science there. What is Michigan getting in English?
A guy that picks out nice hats, obviously.
Nice,
that was a very
hat.
nice hat.
So crisp.
I think a playmaker, a guy that can do a lot of things deep. I love his ability to attack the football in that catch radius. A really physical prospect, a guy that's always been able to high point. You see it there, and that's the type of player that Michigan is now in the running for. Before they had to go and get maybe guys that they can develop or players that they could, in a way, make their own. Now they're getting closer to finished product type of players. Consecutive college football playoff appearances. Jim Harbaugh's status in Ann Arbor is obviously helping the Wolverines on the recruiting trail, and Karmello English gives them an over-the-top option that they've been able to exploit a little bit more in the Big Ten.
You just mentioned something, by the way. You said a more finished product of a player. Mm-hmm. I don't want that to get lost or just to kind of go over people's heads. Certain positions, it's not just an overarching recruiting effort. You have position by position. Some programs are better position by position. Well, with Michigan, it's not that we've sat at this desk for a long time and said, you know what, Jim Harbaugh and staff, they really kill wide receiver recruiting. I hadn't necessarily said those words, and so it means something when you say not only are they landing a big-time kid here, also, I don't think the effort against Ohio State hurt in this effort when you just turn on bomb after bomb after bomb over the top. But also the more finished product, what you're basically saying is this is not a guy you bring in and then the next time we say his name's 2025 or 2026. He's a guy who could contribute really early. And I think once again, I mentioned the game in passing, but there is a stereotype about Michigan's style of play offensively right now. And I think that it kind of got ripped up and thrown in the trash with what they were able to do against Ohio State. It's not that there's one style of play. It's there's multiple styles of play they're capable of, very multiple. I just think that when you add pieces like that, boy, it makes it sustainable instead of just, they did it then, but can they do it now? I don't think that's the conversation we're having with them.
Yeah, Jim Harbaugh has obviously been known as a coach that can develop talent. He harnesses that ability to bring in prospects that he can, in a way, have on the roster and bring together a lot of prospects. No one knows Michigan Wolverines or the recruiting that Jim Harbaugh has been doing more than Sam Webb, and I believe we have him here live with us. Sam, are you there? Yep, Sam, there we go. We got him.
Hey.
Sam, this is a huge win for Michigan. Karmello English, 4-star wide receiver. What are your initial takeaways from the Wolverines picking up Karmello English?
I think first, big time land for Ron Bellamy, and I think it speaks to your recruiting strategy in the day and age of the transfer portal. Now, he's not a transfer portal guy, but the same logic applies. You keep recruiting a guy. You maintain relationships even after a guy commits to another school, which obviously Karmello English did. He committed to Auburn. But because Ron Bellamy was able to maintain that relationship in the manner in which he did when Karmello decommitted from Auburn, Ron Bellamy was right there to pounce. He was right there already in position to seize upon an opportunity. And it's kind of the same logic that applies to the transfer portal, right? Even when a kid commits to another school, as long as you maintain that relationship, when he hits the portal, now you have another opportunity to land him, to get back in on him in a seamless kind of way. And that's what they did with Karmello. And I think it's, him along with Samaj Morgan are excellent complementary pieces to the excellent receiver haul Michigan had last year, where they landed 3 All-Americans, 2 of which are your longer jump ball, vertical type receivers. When you talk about Darius Clemens, who's a 6'4", 4'4" guy, Amarion Walker, who's a 6'4", 4'4" guy, Tyler Morris, a little bit more in your prototypical 6'1", 180-pound guy. But these 2 guys, 5'11"-ish, 6 foot, dog mentality, what you typically think about when you think about that receiver mentality. They're alpha guys and bring you that toughness and that physicality and that demanding of the football that you want to see at that position. And also playmakers, guys who can catch the ball in tight spaces and make plays. I think both Karmello and Samaj Morgan are that type of receiver, and they're going to really, really add to Michigan's pass catching element that they have in that receiver room now.
Two gems that right now make up the 18th overall recruiting class in the 2023 recruiting rankings. 20 signatures already in, Sam. How should Michigan fans feel about Michigan being in that range?
Yeah, but it's a great question, one that I confront a lot in talking to fans that see Michigan being arguably the top team in the country, yet look at their recruiting class hovering around number 20. There's certainly reason for some of the hand wringing. You definitely need to be able to get in on more 5-stars, which I think they will. But I think what Michigan has done an excellent job of is of sort of complementing the recruiting class with the portal. You build with your recruiting class, you tweak in the portal. And Michigan is tweaked in a major way with some plug-and-play type guys that will allow them to not miss a performance beat, especially when you look at what they did on the offensive line. You pencil in the number one guy in the portal in Ernest Hausman at your linebacker spot. I mean, Michigan has made it so you look at next year, the window doesn't close any when you consider it's J.J. McCarthy in his junior season, Donovan Edwards in his junior season, and guys sort of filling in on the offensive line and the linebacker spot in ways where Michigan shouldn't have any fall off at all. They might even be better on paper next year. So when you look at it that way, yeah, you see number 18 or 20 or wherever they are in the rankings right now. When you add the portal elements to it, I think it really changes or should change your perception of this recruiting class.
All right, Sam, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, this is one of those programs, right, that is bringing in obviously a lot of talent. Karmello English commits today, and then in the transfer portal, that's a big component now, Josh, of recruiting, and fans have to take all of that into account as well.
Sam mentioned there about using the portal as a supplement instead of the main course, which I think is the approach in theory of a lot of programs. Here's the reality, though. Not everyone can execute it that way, because really, in my opinion, the teams that have the longest sustained success with the portal are the ones who are going to use it sparingly instead of constantly. And number two, like Sam said there's a foundation at Michigan. So there's a big difference in me as a head coach trying to go to a kid and saying, I need you, versus me going to a kid and saying, I'd love to have you. I'll probably win with or without you. This appeals to competitors, by the way. I'll win with or without you. But here's the thing. You don't have to come in here and do everything. I've got a foundation. We've got stable year-over-year production, in which, by the way, you can say now if you're Michigan. I'm checked in as a head coach. Everyone here is checked in. I think college football is kind of coming to Michigan a little bit. Whereas 3 years ago really, you would have had some people tell you, well, number one, Harbaugh's offense is not going to work, and he proceeded to pretty much not change a thing about it, and it's working. And number two, they would have told you, well, they're never going to recruit at the level you need to beat the likes of Ohio State 2 years in a row and counting, 2 playoff appearances in a row and counting. Oh, and by the way, the transfer portal is making it such to where if you've got the firm foundation built, it's so attractive. Guys aren't looking for the same things out of high school that they're looking for in the portal. So that whole cold weather, will anyone come up here? It doesn't matter as much for guys who have a little maturation about themselves and they've gone through the pomp and circumstance of traditional recruiting. Then they want to go win. So they get a bunch of winners in there from the portal, and they build it foundationally through what we're talking about here today.
I'm probably nitpicking a little bit because Michigan getting it done on the field, you talk about getting those wins over Ohio State and Jim Harbaugh really turning the corner. But when it comes to the recruiting rankings, Michigan's still third in the Big Ten, behind Ohio State, behind Penn State. What do they need to do on the trail? Do they even need to be able to compete with the likes of Ohio State for some of these big-time prospects?
I think they need to elevate their quarterback recruiting I think they've missed on too many guys in recent years, considering the success that they have on the field. They missed on Dante Moore, perhaps the top in-state prospect in quite some time. Even in 2024, if we're looking a year ahead, they've already missed on CJ Carr, who's headed to Notre Dame, and I know Michigan fans probably don't want to hear that, considering that he's a legacy. But I think Jim Harbaugh, being a former quarterback himself, has to hit on quarterbacks a little bit more. They went into the transfer portal. They got Jack Tuttle, the former Utah and Indiana quarterback, and obviously McCarthy gives them a lot there as well. But I need, if I'm a Michigan fan, I need them to be in the mix and to land one of those elite 5-star quarterbacks in this next class.
Again, whatever Harbaugh is doing right now is certainly working in the fact that they are able to compete. We're taking a look here now at the Big Ten recruiting rankings.